Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in Our News.
BPL's load shedding not welcomed by Atlantis, but the resort is coping.
The health minister explains how violent crime is impacting healthcare.
Find out how companies are preparing for the ban of single-use plastic.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight. An American crew is still in the midst of diagnosing why one of 3 crucial BPL engines is offline. The out-of-service generators have resulted in a 40-megawatt shortfall, leaving many Bahamians without power for hours at a time every day. BPL CEO Whitney Hasty says the situation is so desperate that a crew from Philadelphia Gear was engaged without concern for cost.
You know, at this point, we're not even trying to consider costs. We realize the pain that the consumer is going through, and we're just simply trying to get the shortfall closed as quickly as we can on getting these assets back up and running.
3 engines with a combined capacity of 60 megawatts are currently out of service. This represents just under 25% of the New Providence Island's energy demand. The 6-man crew from Pennsylvania is working on an engine called GT7. It is still unclear when that 23-megawatt generator will be returned to service.
Well, I think if you probably ask me tomorrow, I'll be in a better position because they were still making diagnosis when I stopped by late yesterday evening. They were working into the dock last night.
Those 3 generators aren't the only sources of power that are out of commission. 10 megawatts of power provided by rental generators are unavailable. Another steam power turbine that relies on the waste discharge by the 3 currently out-of-service engines is kaput for now. 2 of the engines are being repaired, but officials are still waiting for another out-of-town crew for engine 3.
That's also GT5, right? So that machine is obviously, we lost that on the generator. The generator on that machine has an issue, and so we're trying to get one of the specialists out of the U.S. to come down and to look at that machine as well.
Hasty and BPL Chairman Dr. Donovan Moxey addressed a group of Rotarians on Friday afternoon. The leaders of the embattled power company insisted that the utility provider's generation woes are the result of years of neglect. They say machines are overworked and parts for repairs are nearly impossible to find. They also lamented a company debt exceeding $300 million. And with all of its current challenges, Hasty says the power provider doesn't have the luxury of making considered spending decisions.
No, because, I mean, obviously you've got to supply the power, right? It's not as if we're one of many power companies here. We have an exclusivity agreement to provide power, and we take that seriously. So whatever it takes in order to be able to do that, we'll make sure to get that done first and then worry about what it costs later.
Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis called Prime Minister Dr. Rupert Minnis's response to the issues plaguing BPL and its inability to keep the lights on thin and uninspiring, adding it all appears to be a band-aid approach. In a statement on Wednesday, Minnis vowed to do whatever it takes to alleviate BPL's nearly 3-month-long load-shedding exercises. However, Davis insisted that based on the number of blackouts plaguing New Providence residents and businesses daily, government's plan for BPL remains unclear. The PLP leader added that the government's decision to lay off more than 300 BPL employees last year resulted in a shortage of individuals qualified to address the ongoing challenges at the power company. Davis, who served as the minister for BPL under the last Christie administration, said that from his own personal knowledge, BPL was properly staffed to address such issues. One of the country's largest resorts is feeling the effects of the ongoing power crisis. Senior Vice President of Public Affairs at Atlantis, Ed Fields, says while its guests aren't being inconvenienced, it is a difficult time for the Paradise Island Resort. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Now, Fields said, of course, the summer months have been busy for Atlantis. And while he said dealing with the load shedding may have been kind of difficult, the resort has been coping.
It is a trying time for everyone. And all of us, whether it's Atlantis or the individual consumer, would like to see this thing fixed once and for all.
The Senior Vice President of Public Affairs says this summer has been pretty busy as usual for Atlantis. And with the resort at full occupancy, power outages is the last thing they want to deal with.
Obviously, this summer is expressly challenged because I think the amount of generation that is being having to come down as a result of the fire last year, and of course these the generators that have just recently gone down.
A team is in from the U.S. to assist BPL with fixing a generator. Meanwhile, work is still underway on the $95 million Wärtsilä plant. In the meantime, Atlantis has been running off its own generators to alleviate pressure placed on BPL. However, fields stress they were only designed to serve as backup.
The other thing, of course, is there are sometimes unplanned or unscheduled cuts that BPL is not aware are going to happen. And what that does is it then puts some strain on our equipment.
However, he says, like everyone else, Atlantis is playing the wait game and hoping that the power provider gets it together soon.
We're hoping that with a combination of the demand going down in early fall and, with the plan that BPL has intimated at the press conference that by December they will have 132 megawatts of new generation.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
The 29-year-old woman accused of a string of child abductions earlier this year appeared in the Supreme Court today to enter a plea to those charges. Giorgio Bain has the details.
Dressed up in black and red, accessorized with black sunglasses and pearls, 29-year-old Deidre Gibson was back in court today. She is accused of the abduction of 4 young boys between the ages of 3 and 8 and appeared before Justice Carolita Bethel to enter a plea to the charges. It is alleged that Gibson was responsible for the abduction of a 3-year-old boy who was riding his bicycle on February 16th and 3 8-year-old boys on March 6th, 7th, and 29th. The older boys were allegedly lured into Gibson's car and later dropped off at the entrance of the New Providence City dump. Gibson was originally charged with 4 counts of abduction of an unmarried person, but those charges were later upgraded to child stealing. Today, when the charges were read by Justice Bethel, Gibson pled not guilty to all 4 counts. Bethel said Gibson is to remain on $20,000 bail as long as she maintains its conditions. Gibson had also been sent to Sandlin's Rehabilitation Center for evaluation after her lawyer, Howard Thompson, advised the court that she had a history of mental illness. Today, Justice Bethel ordered that evaluation be submitted to the court next Friday. Gibson is wearing an ankle monitor bracelet as a condition of her bail. She returns to court on August 23rd and will appear before Justice Bernard Turner. Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Thanks, Giorgio. Well, the Marine accused of the murder of his superior officer and the attempted murders of 2 other Marines appeared in the Supreme Court today. 35-year-old Javon Seymour appeared before Justice Carolita Bethel. He is committed to stand trial in the Supreme Court for the April 28th killing of Defense Force Petty Officer Percival Philip Propal and the attempted murders of Calvin Hanna and Ellis Ramming at Government House. Outside of court, Seymour's family members shouted words of encouragement.
Keep your head up, Javon. Keep your head up, my brother. All fine, Javon. We will not stop.
That's all right. We're going to be running tomorrow, but that's okay, though.
Seymour entered a not guilty plea to all charges. He returns to the Supreme Court on August 23rd when he will appear before Justice Bernard Turner. Violent crime is taking a serious toll on the public health care system, according to Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands. Today, Sands revealed that thousands of violent incidents each year have nearly depleted Princess Margaret Hospital's blood bank. Jasmine Brown reports.
Sands says the fact of the matter is the blood bank is not exempt as violent crimes continue to take a toll on the healthcare system.
If you look at the demand between 2017 and 2018, we would have had 1,300 patients that had gunshot stabbings, assaults, etc., requiring blood. 1,500. Another 1,500 with motor vehicle accidents. That doesn't include cancer patients, kidney failure patients, etc.
According to data compiled by the Public Hospitals Authority, violent incidents at PMH and Rand Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama between 2013 and 2018 totaled more than 11,000 assaults, rapes, stabbings, and gunshot wounds. The fiscal period ran from July to June. From 2013 to the end of December 2018, there were 7,183 assault victims treated at PMH. There was also 756 assault victims treated at the RAND. From 2013 to the end of December 2018, there were 1,071 gunshot wounds treated at PMH. From 2013 to 2018, there were also 136 gunshot wounds treated at the RAND. From 2013 to the end of December 2018, there were 1,218 stab wounds treated at PMH. And from 2013 to 2018, there were 235 stab wounds treated at the RAND. From 2013 to the end of December 2018, there were 643 rapes presented at PMH. And from the same time period, there were 68 rape cases presented at the RAND. For 2019, the rate of violent crime has been down. Sands said the decline demonstrates a decrease in the epidemic of violence in the Bahamas. Still, he insists the incidents that do occur still place a strain on healthcare, particularly when it comes to the blood bank.
Relative to the demand, relative to the clinical needs of the country, we're always just kind of hanging on.
Dr. Sands says it is vital for those blood bank stocks to be replenished in order to keep the public healthcare system fully functional.
The consequence right now is the blood bank is pretty dry. And so we need all Bahamians, everybody, take a little time to give the gift of life.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
So to come on our news, stores sound off on the proposed plastic ban, plus nonprofits grateful for cable cares grants. Stay tuned.